Guess what, kids? It's time for me again. Me, the bearded bard of the Bluster and Blue Jays. Still not really sure of that name, to be honest with you, but I'm back. It's been a couple weeks, and I bet you're wondering why. Actually, you know what? I bet you're not wondering why, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The reason that I haven't been here, and I think it's a good thing, it's because there hasn't been much to talk about in Blue Jay land. To be honest with you, it's been very interesting. To be honest with you, it's very strange how we really haven't had much debate of what's going on until the final rosters got set. So, if you want to hear what I think about the upcoming season and what I think might possibly happen, and to talk about our opening day roster, then it's time for you to listen to Bluster and Blue Jays with me, Jeff Morton. Now, after putting in that wonderful music, pardon me, a little drink here. Gotta love that Crystal Light stuff. Oh yeah. We went through spring training this year, and we became the Golden Grapefruit Champions, which means we had the best record in baseball when it came to the Florida State League. The Florida Spring Training. I guess that's kind of a feather in our cap. In a way, I guess that's good. But we all know spring training is for people to try and work out the kinks when they're veterans, and the kids trying to pop up and knock off a few of maybe the middle of the road veterans to take over their spots. And basically, it's just a great big competition to see who's going to make the final 26-man roster and the 40-man. Because after what's happened with the opening day roster, there's going to have to be a lot of stuff done with the 40-man roster. And I'm very curious to see what happens. So let's start from the beginning, shall we? We are going to start here with, and a shout out to Fangraphs. Love using these guys. They have like all the information you need. So it looks like, according to what I've got here, you're looking at the starting nine of a number one, Bo Bichette leading off, Vlad hitting second, Santander third, possibly Andres Jimenez fourth, Kirk fifth, Springer sixth, Alan Roden seventh, Ernie Clement eighth, and Nathan Lucas ninth, as it stands right now. Now, out of that, Santander is being used as a DH in this situation because I think it took him a little while to get to spring training. He had some visa issues, so I think he was a couple weeks behind. So that might be part of the reason why they're thinking he might be DH, which would explain also why we have 6 outfielders. 6. And 5 infielders. It seems kind of odd to me. So after those, you're looking at your backup catcher being Tyler Heineman. Okay, I kind of think we all expected that, although I thought Christian Bethancourt would have got maybe more consideration, a little younger, that kind of thing. Will Wagner, we all knew he was going to make it because he's like the pet project these days since the trade from last year. Management's been so high on him for the entire time since we got it from the Yusei Kikuchi trade. And let's see, we got Davis Schneider listed as an infielder, outfielder, which I hope so because of all the other players we have. And Miles Straw, who we picked up from Cleveland. People were poo-pooing all over that trade because we got him for basically part of a deal for getting signing bonus money in order to sign Roki Sasaki. And it didn't work out. And he's an $11 million player, so they were kind of wondering what was going to happen. Well, I'll give Straw credit. He ripped up spring training. He really did. So I'm glad he stepped up and did what he was supposed to do and proved himself. And that ended up costing guys like Joey Loperfido a spot, which I thought many of us were sure he was going to have based on him playing most of last year in Houston and playing here when he got here. They seem to be pretty high on him, but it's all about production. But is it? So let's get our pitching staff. And this is where you'll find things a little bit interesting. I will say one more thing about our batting order, the way I have it now. That gives us a switch hitter and 3 lefties and 4 righties. That's a pretty balanced attack right there. And I've noticed we have a lot of pretty decent left-handed hitting prospects coming up. So that's a decent thing to do, especially, since most pitchers are right-handers. It's just better for roster construction. Let's see. Now, the other caveat is Dalton Varsho is on the IL because he's still coming back from the surgery he had. Basically, he can swing the bat because we know he was kicking the ball all over the place in spring training, but he still wasn't completely able to throw properly yet. So because of that, unfortunately, we have to start with that extra outfielder. So the question becomes, who goes? Nathan Lucas is the 30-year-old that came in, so I think he might be a lock just because of his age and the production he had last year. Because he had an OPS plus of 133 and an OPS of 818. Not bad for the small sample size that it was. And I think he's also out of options. Alan Roden does have options, even though he was the belle of the ball basically for spring training. Everybody loved what Roden was bringing to the table, and I do too. We now have kind of an embarrassment of riches in the outfield, which is something that we didn't have at the beginning of last year, or we didn't think we did. And for those, just because some places rank us 27th in minor league rankings doesn't mean we don't have prospects. Those rankings are very subjective. They tend to go for the highest ceiling of most of the players, which is fine. I guess that's the one way you can do it. But what about players who are going to come in? There was a time that Toronto had the most players in the majors that came through their system because they drafted well. The only difference being they never became not a lot of superstar players, a lot of hard nosed kind of guys. Like the Toronto fans, like the John McDonald types. Ryan Goins, people like that. But it's strong. That leaves us with a switch hitter and a lefty and two righty bats on the bench. So that's all right. Let's see. Now, so we're talking Barrios got the opening day start, which he definitely deserves after last season. Gosman being second, Chris Batts at third, Bowden Francis fourth, and Max Scherzer as the fifth starter. Now, as we all know at this point, Scherzer has the thumb issue, which he's had since the beginning of 2023. And it's basically just because of the way he holds the ball. So, and you look at guys like DeGrom as well. So these pitchers who do amazing things with the ball, you wonder why. Well, sometimes it's to do with the grip they have, which is slightly different than others, or they put pressure on different points of the ball when they're throwing it to make the ball move in a different way. So Max Scherzer, being the standout that he is, uses his thumb quite a bit, I guess, for a lot of the torque on these balls. And it's what's happening is he's getting a little bit of damage in there. And the thing that he mentioned in the papers the other day, well, okay, maybe not the papers because, with papers, but what he was saying was it can actually affect him all the way up to his shoulder if it's not taken care of. So that's why it's a little dicey right now, because people wondering who's going to be fifth starter. It'll be, well, if you look at our bullpen, our long man is Yariel Rodriguez, and he'll probably be the guy that will go in for him for now. You do have guys like Jake Bloss. I think he's a possibility of coming up out of Mako when he gets healthy. There's a few other guys that did pretty well during the season, or during the spring training. But for now, you're looking at Yariel Rodriguez. That's fine. I have no problem with that. The bullpen, you got your Jeff Hoffman's closing, Chad Green, Yimi Garcia, and Nick Sandlin are your top four. These are guys who got major league experience. They've been through the runner a few times. Hoffman was a draft pick of ours 10 years ago, got traded away to Colorado in the Troy Tulowitzki trade. The Troy Tulowitzki trade. That's a long time ago. But yeah, he's back. And there were, issues with some of the clubs about his arm, but he seems to be doing fine for us. Chad Green was our savior last year, taking over the closing spot. Again, he's a dynamite reliever when he's healthy, and he's another year to recover after the surgery he had a couple of years ago. So he might be even better. And you have Jimmy Garcia. We know what he brings. We all know what Jimmy Garcia brings. And Nick Sandlin, he's got an interesting delivery. Let's put it that way. And it definitely fools hitters. And he was part of that Andre Jimenez trade as well. And he's been in the league for a few years. He's got some experience and done pretty well. Now, the other ones are definitely interesting because two of these guys, non-roster invitees, Richard Lovelady and Jacob Barnes, made the team, which meant guys like Tommy Nance, who's threw pretty well over spring. Ryan Yarbrough was the one because he signed with us a little bit later and just came in, and I thought he for sure was going to be a lock until he did his opt-out, and the Jays decided not worry about it, and now he just signed a $2 million deal with the Yankees, which really sucks because the Yankees bullpen wasn't the greatest. So not happy about that, to be honest. I like that he gave a different look. His fastball is 86 miles an hour. Everything is slower. So I get it, why he'll be an interesting guy to have. But no longer. We get Lovelady and Barnes. And that's fine. I don't have much issue with that, I guess. But their spring training wasn't very good. And I'm hoping the metrics say something, because I was really thought some other guys might have taken the spots. I mean, Eric Swanson, Zach Pop are injured, so that might be part of it. When Swanson comes back, you guarantee one of those two dudes ain't staying. So hopefully they can hold down the fort until our better guys get back. But if you have a bullpen with the top four of, like I said, Hoffman, Garcia, Sandlin, Chad Green, and you throw a healthy Eric Swanson, and he comes back the way he should, and he pitched like he did the second half of last year. Well, then you're looking at, that's a pretty good top five. And I can't say any other bullpen in the majors is solid after their number five, even after the number four for some of them. All teams have bullpen issues. I was listening to Walk Off again with my boys Scott and Adam. Please listen to the Walk Off podcast because it's awesome. They're fantastic at what they do, and they kind of agree that there's just no bullpen that's really standing up for anybody, and that's just an ongoing thing. Because, and as they said, the guys in the bullpen are guys who aren't starters, more or less. It's kind of who they are. So we'll see. Do metrics beat out how they performed in games in spring training? That'll be interesting to see. I don't know if they did. Again, we'll see. You got to fill in somewhere. So that's the roster, right? That's your 26-man roster. Now, here's the thing. There's 4 guys who are non-roster invitees. That's Lovelady, Barnes, Straw, and Alan Roden. So that's 4 guys you have to take off the 40-man roster. Now, I'm guessing one will be Tommy Nance, because he was on it and didn't make the team, but he's out of options. So I'm assuming he will sign someplace else, so there's one spot. And maybe that's how it'll happen. Some guys will drop off here and there, maybe picked up by somebody else in the waiver wire, whatever it is. So that's definitely a possibility. But if not, that's a pretty good problem to have, is having a pretty good 40-man roster and not really sure who to get rid of. I mean, I think our depth is better than we're given credit for, honestly. And it really bothers me that all these pundits keep telling us we have no depth, we have no this, we have no that. Great. But we do. They haven't been the best drafters. I never said they were. But we still have all these kids who are fighting for spots, and they're competing. Look at last year. All these kids who played last year, they all pretty much contributed, except for Schneider. And that was that's a different scenario, because he'd already been up here once and kicked some butt. And they still believe in Schneider because he's made the team again. And he really was smacking the ball pretty good. So hopefully David Popkins, the new hitting coach. Hopefully he's given these guys something they can work on and they can work towards. Again, a guy like Alejandro Kirk. People are not very happy around baseball after our top 4. I think once things get moving, I think Andres Jimenez, because he's had a great spring with the bat. And he hadn't been hitting well the last couple of years, but he is a former top 10 MVP finalist. So obviously we know he can hit. We'll see if he's back to that, would be great. And maybe that will make him a decent 4. But I think if Alan Roden or Alejandro Kirk has a really good start to the season, I can see one of them taking over the 4 spot. So for me, you got Bichette leading off, Guerrero Jr., Santander, and Alejandro Kirk. Now, I have not been the biggest fan of Alejandro Kirk through the years. Out of the 3 catching tandem we had back in the day of Gabriel Moreno, Danny Jansen, and Alejandro Kirk, he was my last pick. And I will say part of it was because of his conditioning, I think. His body type, I didn't think he could handle things. He's definitely one of the best defensive catchers in baseball. He's shown that, so that's great. And towards the end of last year, he kind of started coming on with the bat as well, kind of reminiscent of back in when he was 2021, when he was hitting the crap out of the ball and was a silver slugger. We know he's got the possibility. I mean, the kid's been around since 2020. This is like his 5th year here, and he's still pretty young. So you got to give this kid the benefit of the doubt now. He has done it in the past. He showed he can do it again. I think this hopefully will be the season he puts it together. And he better, because we just signed him to a $5-year extension for like $58 million. And he has looked good. I will give him that. And he even worked on his body a bit over the summer, so that's good. Or sorry, over the winter, so that's good too. I think he's taking his position more seriously. I mean, this kid might have to catch 110 games. But here's the thing. What if he gets hurt? Tyler Heineman's going to be your starting catcher? It's kind of exposing a lack of depth in the upper minors for catching. Hopefully, Christian Bethencourt stays with us and maybe he'll take a AAA assignment. I don't know if he will because catching, again, is always at a premium in this league. It was stated I was watching another show with was it Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal, and he said one thing you never notice is catchers never go to free agency or rarely do. Like JT Real Muto was the last one. He's been with the Phillies for like 4 years now, hasn't he? So they're locking him up because they believe in him, which is good. I just hope they have somebody there to back him up because that's going to be the issue. So he doesn't have a backup. And I'm kind of worried about that. So pitching wise, staying with the lineup, I think we have a pretty good lineup, to be honest with you. We know Ernie Clement can hit, Lucas can hit, Springer can hit, and hopefully he turns over his horrible spring that he had, but he started coming on towards the end, so hopefully that carries over into the season. But man, Springer is looking like a $25 million a year albatross around our necks. And I think if he starts off slow, they got to bench him. You just have to. It's the one thing that worries me the most about this team. Because we have all those kids who can come up and take over the spot, no problem, probably put up a better war over the season than he will. I mean, he's great defensively still. That's great. So if you have him on the bench, what an awesome defensive replacement. We are a top 5 payroll team in baseball, so having a $25 million guy on the bench isn't completely unheard of. Because right now, 2025 is a make or break season. If they do well, Vladdy signs, Bo signs, other players might come to sign here. It might be fantastic. But if they blow it, I guess our starting pieces for the next round of window would be Santander and Jimenez because they're signed to the longest contracts. I mean, Varsho might be part of that. We'll see. I don't know. But Gosman and Bassett are gone after next year, or Bassett's gone after this year. Gosman's gone after next year. His 2-year starter's going down, so you got to start looking for those. And who knows what could happen with the bullpen? Garcia's older. He was hurt last year, and he might get hurt again this year. So there are some maybes, but I want to be optimistic about the team because I think last year really showed them what they needed to do and how they needed to change their approach. The Don Mattingly approach to hitting didn't work. So hopefully David Popkins and all the rest of the gurus around them can break these guys out. It looks like they did because everybody was hitting during spring training. Everybody was doing really not everybody. Most guys were doing well. The guys that we need to do well were doing really, really well. And some of the guys we hoped would do well did. Like Miles Straw is a fast man and he's a great defender, and to have him as a 4th outfielder, he might be the one that sticks when Varsho comes back. It could be Santander, Springer, Varsho, and Miles Straw, and probably one other guy. But David Schneider kind of fits that for them as well. We got some guys hurt. They'll make us stronger. I think over the course of the winter, they've raised our floor. Our ceiling still isn't quite there, but we're not going to be winning 74 games again this year. I can see us at least 500. And now I guess we move over to what I think is going to happen with them. What I think will happen is they'll probably end up 3rd because I'm being very optimistic. So each team in our AL East, what do they have going for them? Well, Baltimore's probably got the best young hitting lineup 1 through 9 in almost all of baseball. The kids that were supposed to be stars are becoming stars. If Jackson Holliday picks it up at second base, they're going to be scary. If Adley Rutschman puts behind his, okay hitting season last year and steps it up again, these guys could be lethal offensively. But when it comes to their pitching, if you have to sign Kyle Gibson at the end of spring training because you don't have enough pitching, you don't have enough pitching. That's just the way it is. You know? Zach Eflin, I believe, is going to be their starter. Let me just pull up their team here. I'm working on getting graphics too. Not sure to get it done yet, but they're going to be graphics eventually. So, Baltimore's projected starting five: Zach Eflin, 41-year-old Charlie Morton, Dean Kremer, who is, pretty decent kid come through the system, Tomoyuki Sugano. He was a free agent from Japan. Okay, we don't really know. I'm sure he'll be fine, but he's not going to be a world beater. And Cade Povich. Well, now you can replace that with Kyle Gibson. That isn't the starting five pitching that puts the fear in anybody. I mean, Eflin's great. Charlie Morton, he'll be okay. He's serviceable, but if he's your number two, that's a problem. So I'm not sure about Baltimore based on that alone. And then if you go into their bullpen, Felix Bautista, he's money. Money. Now that he's healthy again, probably one of the best closers out there. And he's a big boy. He can throw hard, and he's turned our bats inside out a few times. Sir Anthony Dominguez is pretty good. Keegan Aiken and Yennier Keno and Gregory Soto. Okay. But then Cionel Perez and Matt Bowman and Albert Suarez. Let's see. Well, Suarez was a free agent from the Korean Baseball League, so we'll see. Matt Bowman was a free agent from Minnesota. Perez was picked up on waivers. A couple of guys were drafted. There's really not a lot of homegrown guys here. There's none, actually. Waiver wires, trades. Oh, sorry, Keegan Aiken, the one that was actually signed by the team as from the draft. And it's funny, all their starting pitchers, none of them are homegrown either. Even Cade Povich, he was a trade candidate. 3 trades and 2 free agent signings. So one thing we know the Baltimore can't do, apparently, is develop pitching. And that could bite them in the ass. If you got to sign I've said this about the Jays too. The reason that our high payroll is so high is because we have to sign guys all the time because we don't have the lower payroll guys coming up from the minors to take those spots, like the up and coming super pitchers or whatever. Like if Tiedemann comes through and Barriera and when Alec Manoah comes back, these are cheap guys who pitch really, really well. And if you have those guys, you don't need to go out and buy $100 million pitcher. So that's kind of what's happening here is they haven't done anything. And I'll tell you, Baltimore's payroll ain't going to be as high as ours. So they really need to develop pitching, and they have not developed pitching. So if anybody gets hurt, they're kind of screwed. So if Baltimore's going to win like 95 games, like some people think they might, they're going to have to hit the crap out of it. It's going to be like balls to the wall, hitting the crap out of the ball, like 10-9 games. Because that bullpen and starting rotation is nothing, to be honest with you. I'm not very impressed. But then you look at your lineup. Colton Cowser, left field, drafted. Adley Rutschman, drafted. Jordan Westberg, drafted. Ryan Mountcastle, drafted. Cedric Mullins, drafted. Jackson Holliday, drafted. On their bench, Heston Kierstad, drafted. That's a lot of drafted hitters. That's some good ones. Colton Cowser, Adley Rutschman, Jordan Westberg, Cedric Mullins, he'll be gone eventually. He'll probably get traded. They'll trade the old guys and keep the young kids. That's probably what they'll do because they just have a plethora of young hitters coming through that system. It's amazing. There's a reason their system is ranked so high, but really, let's see some of that pitching come. So next, what are we talking? Let's talk about the Boston Red Sox. Now, it's funny how when you watch all these pundits talking that there's a really big split as to what they think is going to happen with this team. Now, hitting wise, they've definitely got the potential. Probably just hit the wrong button here. So Jarren Duran in their left field, great, awesome. Rafael Devers is probably going to be your DH, which I know pisses him off because Alex Bregman's going to be the third baseman, but man, I know Devers liked to play third, and he was really pissed at the beginning of the spring training. Remember that? But you know what? He's a horrible defensive player. Like -9 outs on average. Like it's terrible. One of the worst, if not the worst. So then you bring in Alex Bregman. Tristan Casas at first. Trevor Story hoping to have a resurgence at shortstop. Christian Campbell at second. He was non-roster invitee. He's drafted in 2023, but he's already pushed to make the opening day roster. So he's going to be your second baseman. Willie Abreu at right. Connor Wong is your catcher. And Sedan Rafaela, new center fielder. He was an amateur free agent out of Curacao. There's a lot of hype surrounding guys like Duran, Tristan Casas, even Sedan Rafaela and Willie Abreu. There's a lot of hype in Christian Campbell. So they have a lot of possibility with their hitting. They really do. And they did pretty well, some of these guys hitting last year. But will there be slumps from a few of them? Probably. And when your bench is Ronnie Gonzalez, David Hamilton, and Rob Refsnyder, you better hope your starting nine is doing all right. Now, pitching-wise, this is where they can basically clinch it. You got Garrett Crochet, Tanner Hook, Walker Buehler, Richard Fitz, and Sean Newcomb. Now, Newcomb signs a free agent. He'd be decent as your 5. Crochet, Houk, and Buehler as your top 3 is pretty stacked. Like when you have Walker Buehler as your 3rd, you know he's still got to prove that he's got some stamina and he can come back from injury. But man, that's not bad. Not bad at all. Your bullpen, I don't understand. If Aroldis Chapman, Liam Hendricks are your top, like, high leverage dudes, man, that's just teetering on the line of possible explosion of crap in your bullpen. They got Justin Slayton, Garrett Whitlock, Greg Weissert, Justin Wilson, Brennan Bernardino, and Zach Kelly. You tell me who those guys are. Any of them. We know Aroldis Chapman. We know Liam Hendricks. Those guys have been pitching well for years. That's because they're 37 and 36 years old, respectively. The other guys are all pretty young, but that doesn't stoke fear in me. That doesn't make me go, oh, crap, their bullpen going to get our ass. It's going to be the Achilles heel of Boston, and it seems to have been their Achilles heel for a while now. So they need a better bullpen and hope maybe slightly better 4 and 5 starters. There's a whole lot of maybe with Boston. They could win 95 games. They could win 80 games. These guys, I'm just not sure. It's the biggest wild card we have in our division. I just don't know. I don't think so. I just think Chapman and Hendricks, one of them is going to break down just because they're old. Like they're great. They've got great, pedigree, but when do you stop? When do you just say that's enough? And the last one in ours is the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, these guys have always come out of nowhere in the last few years and just made the playoffs, came close to the World Series on like a minuscule budget in a shit stadium in a shit part of Florida, but they managed to do it because of deft drafting. They are so good at draft and development, but it's starting to catch up to them. There's only so much you can keep going into your depths, especially when so many guys were injured for them last year. So, I mean, their hitters don't. There's no Carl Crawfords or Fred McGriffs in this group. I'll tell you that much. Yandy Diaz, pretty good hitter. He's 33 years old. Josh Lowe, he has to show that he's not going to get hurt every time he gets on the field. But if he's playing, he's fantastic. Brandon Lau, yeah, pretty good second baseman. All right, I can go with that. Junior Caminero, he is going to be a killer of a player. He's 21 years old. But man, if you saw that home run he hit to clinch, I think it was the Caribbean World Series. Oh boy, man, kick the crap out of that ball. That kid's going to be good. Will he be good for 162? I don't know, but he still showed that he can do it. Let's see. Jonathan Aranda as our DH. Or, sorry, it's their DH. Cool. That's all I have for that guy. Danny Jansen, we all know what he's capable of. He can suck at the homers. He can get on some crazy tears. but he's one of the streakiest hitters I've ever seen. He was I didn't call him injury prone. People thought he was injury prone, but he's not. He just kept getting hit in the hand all the time, like 4 or 5 times. So he's finally got a proper protector for his hand. So if he can protect the hand, he might actually stay in a game or two. His defense is pretty good. He's a good game caller. Defensively, not as good as Kirk, which is weird to say, but it's true. But man, when he hit nothing last year after he was traded to Boston, it was like 200, 201. So that's your number 5 or your number 6 hitter. Then Christopher Morel in left, Taylor Walls in short, and Johnny DeLuca in center field. A bunch of maybes. Again, your bench is Ben Rortvedt. I just like saying Rortvedt. Hello, Ben Rortvedt. Curtis Mead, Jose Caballero, and Richie Palacios. No names that you probably know. They're all kids, hopefully going to be doing well. They're all in trades. Now, here was talking about the reason that the Tampa Bay Rays have always done well is they're drafting, right? Well, let's see. Yandy Diaz, trade. Josh Lau, drafted in the first round. Brandon Lowe, drafted in the third round. Caminero, trade. Jansen, free agent. Morel, trade. John DeLuca, trade. Taylor Walls was drafted. And Jonathan Aranda was an amateur free agent. Their bench, all trades. Now you get into their starting pitching because, unfortunately, Shane McClanahan got hurt again, which is not good for them because he was going to be their number 1 stud comeback guy, but he was hurt, and now he's hurt again coming back from surgery. So that means Ryan Pepia is your starter, your number 1. Taj Bradley, Drew Rasmussen, Shane Baz, and Zach Little. We know all of them as Jays fans. They all pitch really well. They're actually pretty good pitchers, all of them. But they've all have injury history, and they're all trying to come back from stuff. But funnily enough, 3 of them were traded for. One of them was on waivers. The only guy in that rotation was Taj Bradley, who was drafted. And remember how all their pitchers were drafted by them? They drafted really, really well. Now you're seeing what happens when you have to keep letting your guys go because you can't afford them. And how are they going to perform when they don't have their own stadium and they're playing in Florida in August? Now they've kind of jiggied the schedule. So Tampa Bay plays a lot of games at home in the first part of the first 50 games. I think like at least 40 of them are at home. But when you get into the summer, because it's so friggin' hot, they have like 10 games at home and like 40 away games. And they're also playing at George Steinbrenner Field, which is a Yankee stadium, because their stadium got destroyed by a hurricane. And instead of going forward to build the new stadium like they talked they were going to, and they were really close to doing it, and place jets outside, it was going to be a fantastic all-encompassing blah, blah, blah. They're just going to play in the old stadium and just fix the old stadium, which I don't get. Obviously, it doesn't work because the hurricane ripped the goddamn roof off. It ripped the roof off, like really badly, too. I mean, they chose that stadium to house people from the hurricane, and it's supposed to withstand winds up to 130 miles an hour. It didn't. And they had to move all those people out of there, too. It's a crappy stadium. It's always been a crappy stadium. Terrible turf. The looking up into if you have to have rules because your ball is hitting a catwalk on the fucking roof, it's a terrible goddamn stadium. I mean, at least Miami is a decent looking stadium, even though they have, and it works well with their retractable even though their team sucks ass. I don't understand what this need is to have teams in Florida. I don't get it. Florida is a destination place. You have people that live there, obviously, but it's all old people retiring. Do you want your entire fan base to be retired old people? No. And the other ones are all like snowbirds. And after what's been going on, around the world, a lot of those Canadian snowbirds ain't going down there. So I've never understood the need to be where it's hot as hell during the summer, and it's really difficult to play there during the summer if it's outside. And you have to build stadiums to do it, but you're not going to build those stadiums to do it. You're not. It's just you can't build and have a really good seeded team if you're constantly just not sure what's going to happen. And obviously the ownership doesn't want to pay, and nobody goes to see the games. I mean, even in the playoffs, the Rays can't sell out. When they were like, they close to the World Series. Nothing. It's I don't understand the need for it. They get spring training. They get all the teams. Well, half the teams. Be happy with that. Move them out of Florida. It's a terrible place to put them. Give Nashville a team. Give Montreal a team. Give Portland a team. I don't believe in giving Vegas a team because I have problems with Vegas in general, hosting like many major teams, and this is what they do. But anyway, yeah. And then their bullpen. My goodness gracious. Pete Fairbanks, Edwin Uceta, Garrett Clevenger, Manuel Rodriguez, Mason Montgomery, Hunter Biggs, Kevin Kelly, and Mason Engelbert. Trade, free agent, trade, drafted, trade, purchase, trade. Their closer, Pete Fairbanks, is a killer. But anybody after that, how old are these guys? 30, 28, 24, 26, 27, 25. Man, they're not looking good. I don't see the Rays are going to finish last. I think just because of the circumstances of everything, they're going to be last. So for me, here's what that thinks. You're going to have the Rays last. You're going to have, oh, wait, I forgot to go over the one other team. My goodness, how could I forget the Bronx to the Bombers? The Bombers of the Bronx, the New York Yankees, because I just like to forget them because I can't stand them. Here we go. Now, not bad. And on their team, drafted, trade, free agent, trade, drafted, free agent, amateur, drafted, free agent, amateur. So they draft a lot of their players that are on the team, which is a good sign for them. Let's see. Austin Wells as their catcher. He may end up being the best catcher in baseball either this year or next. There's a reason he was drafted in the first round. He hits the ball hard, pretty decent back catcher, whatever a back catcher is, good at what he does. Aaron Judge. Cody Bellinger. He could be an X factor for them because you never know, man. Like, everybody's so high on Bellinger, but ever since his MVP season, his OPSs have been late 700s, maybe the early 800s occasionally. That's good, but it's not what people think he's going to be. Paul Goldschmidt at first base. I mean, he's 38 years old, but, in that stadium, he can hit the crap out of the ball. Maybe a change of scenery towards the end of his career will help him. Jazz Chisholm hit the crap out of the ball when he was traded. I think the Yankees are perfect for a guy like Chisholm with his personality. I think he's going to thrive there. I don't think his defense is the greatest, but second base, you can hide that there. Anthony Volpe at shortstop. Now, he's still only 23 years old, but he's already been up here a couple seasons. He's going to be their shortstop of the future, and he looks just as killer as all their other shortstops. I mean, these guys have been pretty good at getting a good shortstop in there. Jason Dominguez is the early favorite for a Rookie of the Year because he just smashes balls. He's a big boy. He's 22, and he hits the crap out of the ball. Ben Rice is your DH, draft pick in the 12th round of the 2021 draft. He showed some good bat when he was up with them last year. I think he can be a decent DH for them. And Oswaldo Cabrera is a third baseman. I think that's why he's number 9. Now, their bench consists of JC Escada is their backup catcher / infielder. He's also a left-handed hitter. So, okay, that's weird because so is Austin Wells. It's not often you see 2 left-handed hitting catchers on a team, but they have them. Oswaldo Peraza, Pablo Reyes, and Trent Grisham. Yay, not bad. Trent Grisham's pretty good as a bench player. Oswaldo Peraza, decent enough. I don't know much about Pablo Reyes. And JC Escara, he was a free agent from the indie leagues in February 2024. So he was playing in the independent leagues. Yeesh. Now you're starting pitching. You're looking at Carlos Rodon, Max Fried, Marcus Stroman, Will Warren, and Carlos Carrasco. Because they lost Louis Hill and they lost Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole is gone for the season with Tommy John. Hill is gone for at least 3 months. I think it's abductor strain or something like that. Like when you get pitching and you're up in this area and you hurt that area, it's really difficult to pitch. So I don't know why Carlos Rodon is listed as their 1. I would put Fried as their 1. So, but I mean, that is what it is. And they signed Carlos Carrasco because they needed him. I mean, he pitched for Cleveland last year, but they needed another starting pitcher. So their starting pitching depth is weak. Like they lost their top two dudes. And now you're relying on 38-year-old Carlos Carrasco to be your fifth. So that doesn't seem very stable to me. You get your bullpen? Well, here you go. Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, Fernando Cruz, Tim Hill, Mark Leiter Jr., Yendrys Gomez, Yerry De Los Santos, and Ryan Yarbrough. Well, that's a pretty stacked bullpen. Devin Williams is probably one of the best closers in the game, has been for a while. He was a great trade for them. Luke Weaver, what we saw he did in the playoffs last year, my God, as their closer, he was lights out. Fernando Cruz, pretty good, decent one. Tim Hill, Mark Leiter Jr., 30 old. 34? I thought he was younger because like Mark Leiter didn't pitch that long ago, did he? His father? Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm old. Oh my God, I got so old. That would explain all this stuff. Well, that's fine. But also keep in mind their injured list. Giancarlo Stanton and DJ LeMahieu are on their injured list. Giancarlo Stanton, I don't know, man. For a big dude like him, he is the most brittle human being I've ever seen. He has both of his elbows are screwed up, which is a really weird thing for a hitter. It's just odd. And DJ LeMahieu, he's been around for a long time. He's been a great player for a long time. He's on the downswing of things. I think when he comes back, he's not going to be an everyday guy. I don't think he's going to pull anybody off unless he's hitting the crap out of the ball for some reason, but I just don't see it. I don't think he can do it. So there's your Yankees. Now, who will be in first place? I have a tough time with this one. I think it'll be Baltimore, but only because I think they will improve their starting pitching at the trade deadline, and their hitting will keep them in the race. Second, man, I feel like an idiot saying this, but Toronto. I really think we're better than people think we are. People say there's so many questions, but if you look at the lineups that I've talked to you about, there's questions everywhere. There's questions all over each of these teams in the East. I mean, Baltimore has the best offense, right? Best pitching, it would have been the Yankees. And when they get their two guys back, it'll probably be the Yankees. Boston has no bullpen. Tampa Bay, their starting pitching is also pretty good, but I still would give the edge to them. But I mean, the Jays aren't bad. I mean, I like our starting five. I don't have a problem with it at all, really. And if they all pitch to their capabilities, we'll do well. But the only thing that's weird is when I was looking at Fangraph projections of how they're going to have how the pitching staff is going to be, the lowest ERA they've listed on our team is going to be 3.36. And I believe that was Jeff Hoffman. There's a lot of upper threes and lower four ERAs listed, especially the lower fours. So they don't think our pitching is going to be that great. I think it's better than it is. And you'll see it. And I think our hitting is going to be better. I think Jimenez is going to have an outstanding hitting season. I think Dalton Varsho I think he's going to hit at least 25 home runs. They think 18. They think the most homers that is going to be hit on the team are tied between Santander and Guerrero with 33 each. We have four guys that could hit 30 home runs. Guerrero, Santander, Bichette. Okay, 3. Right? But if the other guys hit 20, that's not bad. These guys, and these are high on base guys that we're bringing up from the minors to join us. So not everybody has to hit a home run. So it kind of worries me. We don't have as much home run hitting power at the bottom of the lineup, but we have bats that can turn over the lineup. And I think that's going to be important, is to get to these top guys again. I love Bo Bichette leading off. I thought he should have been leading off the entire time instead of Springer, because he hits the ball. And he's going to have an outstanding season. Our two free agents to be are going to hit the crap out of the ball. And I think you're going to see us hitting better than people thought. We'll see. That's what I think. That's the whole point of projection is we're just guessing. But from what I saw over spring training, the approaches they were having, the results speak for themselves so far. Maybe Popkins is the answer. Maybe. But the question is, and we'll talk about this next week, What happens if they suck? What do you do when your farm system is A, ball heavy, and you have to get rid of most of your team? And the free agent market next year ain't looking so hot. What do you do? So that is your Blue Jay preview, somewhat, and the American League East preview of your 2025 season. We will go into more of these things. I wish there was more to talk about, but unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of controversy. I could discuss Vlad's contract thing, but I'm not going to. I'm just tired of it. We'll hit that later on and what Shabiro said. If there's anything you guys want to talk about, hit it in the comments. If you're on Spotify, hit like. If you're watching me on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. And as the people say, it helps with the algorithm. Please help me with the algorithm so I can get things going on here. And again, if you have any questions, throw them in the comments. I'm looking forward to checking those out and hopefully building my base here for the subscribers I have. Thank the three of you. I thank the three of you so much. For the rest of you, just subscribe. Help a brother out. This is kind of hoping what I can do here. And finally, one last thing. And this is to anybody for anybody. The goal of my podcast, as it has been since the beginning, was not to do this. What I wanted to do, because the Jays are turning 50 in 2027, is I wanted to do a podcast, weekly half-hour podcast of interviewing players of the past, the alumni. Now, my big problem is I know who runs the Alumni Association with the Blue Jays. I've sent emails to this person as well. Unfortunately, they have not gotten back to me. And talking to others, like other writers who have wanted to access the same department, have also had problems getting to that department. So this is what I ask of you. If any of you knows anybody who knows an ex-Blue Jay, I don't care if they played one game, one inning, or 1,000 games. I want to get the broad spectrum of players who've been here and what they thought about playing in Toronto, because it's always been a different thing since the beginning of the team being in Canada. So I want to know what it was like for them, but I can't seem to get a hold of anybody because I'm just me and I'm still growing my thing. So if anybody can get me in touch with one of the old guys who might be willing to talk or could pass me off to another alumni, if I have to do it, like the game of telephone back and forth, that'd be great. But that is what I want. And if any of you can help me out with that, that'd be fantastic. So, wow, 50 minutes. I talk a lot. But there was a lot to kind of get over. Next week, again, it's always going to come out on Monday. I am coming out later in the day because I had other work I had to do. I can't guarantee a time all the time, but it will come out on your Mondays. And I will always go over the week before and the week coming up, ideally in the mornings if I can. So that's the plan going forward. Again, like and subscribe, help a brother out. And if you have any questions, throw them in the comments. And until then, I will see you later.